So we left the high school library about 3 years ago and moved to the University Mall. There was some controversy. Some people thought it was a great idea, and some people still probably have not visited the library because they refused to go to the mall. So you never know. The space is smaller than what we had at the high school, so that was somewhat challenging. But what we found at the mall was that we were seeing some people that we didn't normally see in the other locations. So that was a real bonus. We just had populations that we hadn't seen at the high school. In addition to seeing people who are visiting from other towns, we saw people from South Burlington who just had never been to the library in the high school. Some of them really didn't understand that they were welcome at the library in the high school. And some of them just didn't feel comfortable going there. And others just had no idea that they had a public library. So that was great. We had a very strong reaction immediately once the governor locked down the state. We weren't doing anything except answer emails and try to answer phone calls for people. Of course, our web page is always up, so people could still access ebooks and audiobooks and databases and classes, but they couldn't come to the library. And we didn't have a lot of resources to support them. We added some staffing hours back, and we came back with curbside, so people could make requests for certain books, or they could make requests for a certain topic, or they liked this and could we give them something else that was similar, that kind of thing. When we opened the library full-time, things were a little different. We had a limit of the number of people that could go in. We had a limit of the time that we were asking them to stay. People could only use computers for 30 minutes, and that was a real burden for those folks. And so in order to do all that, we also had to have a staff member or a volunteer at the door being a greeter. So that was a big change in how things worked. We're currently back at the curbside level. Looking forward to when we can reopen again. We'll move all of the materials that we have now over to the new space, and there will be room for growth, absolutely. We've also had some donors to the capital campaign who have earmarked their funds for collections, so that'll help us add some new materials for opening day and beyond.
This is the basically the visitor entrance. There'll be two people here standing or sitting and helping customers if they want to be directed to planning or zoning. They would go over to the stairway or elevator to get directed up to there. The city clerk's office is going to be from this front window here. And the main entrance to the library is to our right. Here is an auditorium meant to serve about 100 people. And it's very acoustically, still under progress here, but very acoustically separated from the space above it, which is library space, and the city clerk's to our left. But this will be a place where small theater groups can do plays. So now we're in the library space, and we've called this the library living room. It's got a fireplace, a lot of south-facing light. It's really intended to be the comfortable space where somebody can come in and read the latest book, read a magazine or anything they want, and just kind of have a nice, comfortable space to this. The city has, been working on developing City Center since about 1980, and it's had a hard time getting traction until now. But with the redevelopment of Market Street and anchor projects like this, they're hoping to really, get Market Street fully built out in the next few years. The main circulation desk for the library will be here. You can sort of vaguely see it on the floor, and that's all staff office space in the background.
Okay.
One of the features in this room where that column is right now, it'll be encased with a wood element that'll, not a direct reflection of a tree, but it's going to be very tree-like. So that element will kind of center the children's library. And there's kind of a story time area over here. And what we've tried to do is just create nooks in different spaces that people can get comfortable with throughout the building.
So the process should begin, we should be closing the 12th of June. And then we have a week to pull things together that have to be boxed up, that kind of thing. The books will be moved on carts. So they're taken off the shelves in the order that they belong, and they'll be put on the shelves in the new space in the right place based on a system that has been developed that works very well. We used it when we moved to the mall. So I'm not sure that there'll be a difference in how we do it between our first move and our second move. We feel good about knowing what to expect. But we also have not contracted with a mover yet, so we're not absolutely sure which system, how that's what that's gonna look like.
So just to orient you back to where we are, this is the main stairway that comes up from the library living room. And this room over here, separated by another overhead door, is going to be the teen space. So there'll be some features in there that can be arranged, give them a space where they can make a little bit more noise. Features from our public discussions was to try and have some outdoor space for the public to use. And a lot of votes were for a third floor or a rooftop type of space. That created some staffing issues, and the solution was to bring it to the typical library level, but still allow some outdoor space where people can go outside and read a book on a nice day. So we have a good southern orientation for the building. During the summer months, we're going to try to shield as much of that hot sun that we don't want. So that overhang is sized in a way that can shade a lot of these upper floor windows. Yet it's still going to filter the light. It's not a solid roof covering, but it will allow some filtered light through. We've also got these brackets which will hold some anodized aluminum fins, and those are partially to help with deflecting some of the western sun in the afternoon, so that we're not getting a lot of solar gain from the west in the afternoons, because we have quite a straight shot down that roadway. So some of those features are serving more than one purpose as far as aesthetics, power production, and shading. So overall, the energy use of the building should be, it's modeled, and I don't have the exact number, but it's 56 or 60% better than a typical building.
What kind of solar panels are those?
They're called bifacial because they actually absorb energy from both sides, the top and the bottom. That's beneficial in this case because it can any of the reflecting light that comes from the pavement or any of the surfaces down low, we can actually collect some of that solar from both sides.
One problem that we've had in the mall was that we don't have a public restroom. So of course in the new building we will, and that'll be a relief to people. And that in the high school and the mall, we only ever had, well, not ever, but since I've been there, we've only ever had one meeting room, and that was for us to use as well as for the public to use. That definitely influenced our plan to have a building that had a lot of rooms for different purposes that could also be borrowed or rented by the public. When we designed the libraries, we had already developed lists of priorities for what kinds of rooms we would want, what kinds of seating areas we would want, how many shelves we might want. So all of that was taken into account, plus it was amended based on what the public had to say. The biggest change that I'm aware of is originally we would have had like a grand opening very soon after the building opened. And right now the staff and I are thinking that the best plan is to have we'll have a ribbon cutting probably right away, but then have passive programs at the library where people don't have to come and sit in rooms, but maybe there's a quartet playing out in the open, or we have craft kits that we send home with people, that kind of thing. And then we're planning to do our grand opening with 30 days and 30 programs in September.